much for joining. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you
Hello.
for joining. It's Friday, and I know you guys are ready to hit the weekend because I am. Hi, sis. Hi, everybody. Okay, I don't know what you guys want to hear from me, but I mean, I think this is a great opportunity for everyone, not just those of us like abroad, but people that are even back home. Because, of course, we all started like, I mean, from scratch, right? So that's just to let you guys know, like, you have to start from scratch sometimes in life. And as you climb the ladder, you're going to learn a lot and you're going to apply it in like throughout not just your career journey, but your entire lifespan. Anyways, I am Toby. I have a bachelor's in computer science, master's in computer and information system. I was working at the bank in Nigeria. I worked at the bank for 3 years where I worked in the data center. So I was literally doing like I started as a system administrator. I pivoted into networking. I did a little bit of web dev and all that stuff. So I think as of 2013, I made the decision to actually quit my job and migrate to the US. And the good part, or the sad part was I knew I wanted to quit because I was super passionate, or I have been super passionate about tech. So I knew there was no way I would excel in Nigeria because of the infrastructures we had, because of a lot, they have a lot of pinpoints. I mean, we all worked in Nigeria, but I know not everybody worked in the data center. So I worked with all this infrastructure and I knew like for me to get better, for me to like get the best out of my computer science background and all that, I just need to leave the country. How would I leave? I didn't know because I didn't know anybody in the US and I didn't know how I would have done it because, of course, I didn't have any cash. So I started doing research and all, trying to apply to schools. However, I didn't know where to start because United States is super big, and if you don't have anybody that actually is studying abroad or like live abroad, like your family members, relative, it's gonna be hard. So I stumbled upon one webinar, like how all these people come to Nigeria to do webinars and stuff. And I was like, oh, I think this is gonna be a great opportunity for me to go. And I called my friend. I was like, let's go for this stuff because we actually graduated together back home in bachelor's. And she was like, oh, she's going to go. She's going to go with me. I think a day before she actually called up because she had something coming up. And my type of person, I do things myself. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to be there. Okay. So I got there. I got all the information I needed and couple of schools they provided. And I was like, oh, let me start from there. So I did my research. I gathered everything that was required, the documents and all. I gathered it and I applied. Fortunately for me, I got the admission and it was time for the visa and all. So in my mind, I'm like, oh shit, she's got real because yeah, this is real. This is like $30,000 in tuition. How am I gonna pay for it? I don't have a rich father. I don't have a rich mother. And I think at that point, my dad just passed. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I didn't tell nobody, not even any family member of mine whatsoever. However, I decided to apply for the visa. I'm sorry, I applied for the visa, yes, at the embassy. I did my interview and boom, I got it. And shit just got real, real, real because it's like, now you need the real cash, right?
Yeah.
You need the real cash to take to buy your tickets to actually go directly like to school, and you have to pay your tuition, which is $30,000, like literally just tuition, not including like cost of living in California and all. And secondly, I didn't know where to stay. Like if I land in the United States, where do I go from the airport?
Was that was that the only school you applied to?
Sorry?
Was that the only school you applied to?
I applied to 3 different schools. I got admission, but I think that has like the lowest in terms of affordability. That has the best, yeah. But it's still, they're all like in computer science. So
where were you working in Nigeria? Yeah.
I worked at Enterprise Bank, and I also worked at Resort Mortgage Bank.
Okay. Because I also like went to the US for school too, and I understand like the whole applying for visa, then the school fees is like another another whole ball game.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys a breakdown, like what I did and all that. So I'm just
Okay.
here to spit it out, right?
Yeah.
So
So,
pretty
yeah,
much
what?
got here. Exactly. You guys want to hear the truth. Like you see people like bubbling right now. I mean, if you hear the story, it can actually help motivate you. Like you can actually leave the country without having whatever. Just look for your ticket money and get in, right? So I got in eventually. And I think once I got the visa, I started going online researching about like people like from like all these forums, like people maybe accidentally find anyone attending the school. I think I found a couple of people, like two, and both of us decided to get ticket for the same day so that we will fly the same day. And she was like, her boyfriend is already here, the same school, so they have a place to stay. That's how God works. I was like, okay, at least I have somewhere to sleep.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I have somewhere to sleep. One thing about me, I'm always positive. I just always know things will work out, right? Because I know I work towards things. So I'm always positive. I don't let my fear overshadow me. This is me, a female, living in a country that I'm comfortable in and coming to where I don't know once so, but I was super positive and happy. I'm like, you know what? We're going to face it. Whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. So long story short, that's how I moved in and I slept there while I looked for my place and all, and eventually started. So the question is, how do you pay for tuition, right? Because we all know international students don't get scholarship or student aid, or I mean student aid. Let me take the scholarship part out of it. Student aid, which is like the most critical part. However, it's like you have to pay your tuition like literally every 2 months. That means everything you actually work for, you remit it to school. If not, they're going to cancel your I-20 and you're going to become illegal. So the fear of being illegal was pushing me forward. Like, girl, you got to pick up another job, another job, another job. Wow. And that's how I was going to school, spending 4 hours. I mean, I think twice a week or 3 times a week, 4 hours every day. And also you have time to study. So I started, in my case, because I already have like significant experience in tech, it was easy for me, right? I think I started from like a retail industry. So pretty much helping them with web design and all. And when I started, I also started a side business of building website for people because I already have those skill sets. Wow. So, and pretty much I was good with like tech support because I was doing it back home. So I had a lot of skills ready, but I mean, you need like the right paperwork for you to work and all that. So in terms of the skill set, yes, I was like ready to work, but in terms of like, how do you start to work? Then that's the problem. However, and I think most schools in the United States, at least within 3 to 6 months, you can actually start your CPT. And with that, you can actually work in any company, but for 20 hours. And in your specific field. So in my case, like, oh, you're working 20 hours, but actually, how much can 20 hours contribute to your tuition? So you got to pick another job. So I picked up multiple jobs. I picked up caregiving job. I was just doing like different things, just rambling there. I think I picked up 2 or 3 jobs. Sometimes I cut off one, sometimes because I'm like, I got to study because that's the major reason I'm here. But long story short, that's how I literally did my school. And sometimes you just have to forfeit luxury for something that has a long-term goal, right? Profitable long-term goal. So I personally would say education has been my best investment. A lot of people that came in for school, they couldn't like survive. They broke it along the line, and today they're regretting it, right? We pushed forward, we invested everything we had in the education, and today I would say I am ripping out of it, right? But long story short, my final year in school, during my final project, I was still a web dev. So I was managing, like I was working in the e-commerce industry. So I had a lot of e-commerce experience and all. Long story short, my final year, I got an offer. So no, my final year, I decided to pivot into the data analytics space, right? Because I did a project that I really loved, and I decided like, oh, I think this is a great field. So one thing about working in tech, a lot of you guys feel, oh, because you already have experience in tech, then it's easy to pivot. No, If you're a web dev and you want to pivot to networking, you're learning everything from scratch because they don't have any correlation, right? If you're a web dev, you want to pivot into UI UX, it's easy because it's first is like the design phase before the coding. For the web dev, you need to know how to code in CSS, HTML, JavaScript, right? So at the long run, I decided to pivot into the analytics space. So this is how I thought about it in my head. This is my thought process. I'm like, okay, you already know how to build a website. And essentially, every business that starts gets a website. So the next thing when you get a website is how do you drive people to the website? That's where digital marketing comes in. And now you start spending money on digital marketing, or you start doing like a lot of digital marketing activities. The next part is how do you actually measure the effectiveness of the digital marketing? That is where analytics comes in, right? So I saw I could actually like incorporate all three together. And that was how I picked the domain marketing and product for me to start analyzing marketing data, right? So that's the long story. I started in the retail industry or the e-commerce industry. I worked as a data analyst, I think for about 1 year. The second year, I worked as a digital analytics manager. The third year, I worked in Molina Healthcare. So I worked in 3 different healthcare companies. Then my previous job was in a healthcare company. However, it's a data-driven healthcare company in Silicon Valley. So I was literally doing the same thing I do here. So one thing I just want to bring out is I have worked in various industries. However, my domain is transferable, right? So that's why I can go from one industry to another industry. And I worked in 3 different healthcare companies before I worked at Google, right? So I was already, I always set a career trajectory for myself. I told myself I only want to stay in the healthcare industry for 4 years. So it was supposed to be the 4th year last year, I believe. And I was getting ready to start applying or revamping my resume and all. And I started getting this heat on my LinkedIn. Boom, 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 boom. From almost all the tech companies. So that's why you just need to have skills that are transferable, right? You don't want to tie yourself. For example, if I had worked in the healthcare industry and I was like literally analyzing healthcare data, it would have been hard, let's say hospital data, right? It would have been hard to transfer hospital skills to like a different industry. But if you are in any industry and you analyze business vertical data, so when we say business vertical, we're talking about finance, marketing, sales, things that drive business growth, right? Yeah, so these are the business vertical, the core areas that drive every business growth, because as far as I'm concerned, the end product for every business is sales, right? So that's why when they reach out to me, they're like, hey, Toby, your skills from Clover Healthcare or your skills from Molina Healthcare aligns with the role we're looking out for, right? So they don't look at the company you've worked for. They look at your skills that you have listed, the things you've done for other companies, no matter the industry. That's what they look at. Then they reach out to you. But like I always say, make sure your LinkedIn is fully revamped. Honestly, I can't remember the last time I personally applied for a job. It's been them reaching out to me. If you revamp your LinkedIn profile, you will have high chances of, recruiters reaching out to you without you applying for jobs. So make sure you have those core things. And also from my experience, and we have a lot of resume workshops at Google, and all these are the things they're looking for. So I am sharing with like everybody. Always make sure you have a summary that talks about your years of experience, right? For example, if you work or you're trying to be in the analytics field and your previous experience was in sales, marketing, or whatever it is, maybe psychology, you don't need to toss the psychology away. You're just going to say, oh, I have about 6 years combined experience in psychology, data, and this, right? So you combine your skills together. Don't throw it away. That's your skill, right? That's your skills. That's something you've worked for. So just because you haven't actually had like experience, like real world experience working in the data field, doesn't mean you should eliminate what you have. You just have to combine them together. Then the second part should be for you to outline your achievements, right? your achievement, if you're just studying, you still have an achievement every time you complete a project. Sit down and think about the project you completed, even if it's from Udemy. Understand the goal of the type of analysis you're conducting and also how that can impact business. Write out the outcome, right? And the third part is call out your skills, right? We're not saying bombard your LinkedIn with technical jargon. We don't care about that. We're just saying call out your area of specialization. For example, in my case, I only accept jobs that are tied to marketing, analytics, and product, right? Because that is my area of specialization. Just like the doctors, they have specialization area, right? The lawyers, you're going to see family attorney, you're going to see immigration attorney. They don't just like generalize everything together, right? So that was exactly how I got to Google. They reached out to me. I was deemed qualified. I did my first interview. Alongside, I was doing interview with LinkedIn, Amazon, Facebook. They all reached out to me, right?
Wow.
And I pretty much got 3 offers. I got from Amazon, I got from Google, and I got from Upwork. And I decided to go with Google because it aligns with my career trajectory, and also the role is like something that I've been doing like from way back, and also the domain that I want to stay at. With Amazon, it was still a data science and analytics role, but it was pushing towards like using data science and analytics to optimize inventory and packaging, right? So that's not in my line of interest, because my line of interest is working with SaaS products, right? Software as a service, so data products, right? So I will pause there for,
I wanted to, I had, well, just, it's really, really inspiring. I think, just to go back a little bit, I know where people usually get stuck is transitioning from a student to a work permit. And it's really difficult because I've also been at that position where I had to do OPT, and eventually I had to like move to Canada because I had the PR and it was just easier for me and my family. So that junction, like, just,
Okay, let me just give couple of examples, and I'm going to be straight. So for those of you that are single, if you get it, you start looking for relationship, you can get married.
Honest, thank you.
Then if you are in the STEM field, right? STEM simply means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So make sure whatever course or program you're coming in for represent the STEM. Some people always hit me up like, hey, I just got an admission and the master's is like in business analytics, master's in data science, master's in analytics. A lot of schools categorize them differently. So I always tell them, go and double check with them and make sure it falls on that STEM. And the reason being that once you're done with your master's program, automatically you get like 1 year OPT to work. That's full work permit. And if you fall under the STEM categories, after that 1 year, you're entitled to additional 2 years, right? So that's 3 years automatically. So if you're single, or even if you're not single, you should be able to like get a relationship by the time you're there. And another thing is, some people after the master's, they want to go for their PhD. So ideally, if you have master's program and you actually if you're envisioning to go for PhD or not, it doesn't matter. Once you spend additional 3 years in this country, which totals it at 5, because your master's was 2, 5, we have a lot of different type of visas you're qualified for that can get you green card even without you getting married or whatever, right? So they have what they call EB2, EB1, and all those are for people that have proven skills in analytics. That's why in the STEM industry. That's why I say make sure it's the STEM industry. So with that, you can easily apply. And if you have like a lot of publications, a lot of projects you've worked on, a lot of services that the country has benefited from. So this is like, I would say this works exactly like the express entry in Canada. Yeah, so they have that here too, but a lot of people don't know. However, I think it's becoming something that people are, seeing the value of now. So they have that here as well. But just make sure your course or whatever program you're coming in from falls under the STEM.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks thanks for everyone that's been, I mean, on. And people have really been talking about your transparency, which is what I like. I know many people, I mean, have to, yeah. Because I've joined some of your sessions and I like how you're honest about, I mean, what you've had to go through. If you have any questions, there's a question box at the bottom left corner. Please add your questions there. I think what I want to ask is about, you said that like 5 companies reached out to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you were going to, I mean, in retrospect, what would you say made you stand out? Yeah. Why
Okay.
why were 5 companies reaching out to you? You're not the only
Not
person.
even 5, it's more than 5, but
Oh
like
wow,
these
it's
are
even more
core
than 5.
companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Wow.
even now that I've started, I think even last week, Amazon still reached out to me,
Wow.
right? So what made me stand out is because I have a specialization area, right? Data science and analytics is broad. The same thing is applicable to product management. Product management in the tech industry is completely different from product management in a non-tech industry, right? The project management roles in tech industries entails you managing a software or an application. So you're expected to have like technical expertise, right? Things on A/B testing, things on writing your SQL code to analyze the result, because you A/B test every product feature and every product, new product that before they are rolled out, right? So what made me stand out was those key areas, calling out my specialization areas. So there's one thing, having a specialization area. So specialization is simply your domain. My domain is fixed on analyzing marketing and product data. So some things you don't get some type of knowledge through study, you get some type of knowledge through experience. So imagine you doing the same thing over and over in different industries. You've helped them solve different problems. That is exactly what they mean by experts or practitioners, right? If you have immigration issue, you're not going to go to like a family lawyer or an accident lawyer, right? You hit straight, you go online and you search accident lawyer. So it's like every time they search those keywords that are tailored to my domain, because I saw a couple of them, most times they write it like in the email, like the message, like, oh, I did a search and your name popped up as first, right? So if you have those things, I don't care, you guys can check my LinkedIn and mirror it. It doesn't matter. I'm not looking for jobs. So feel free, search, see how I outline things. And the second part is, every time I list out my previous experience, there is always an outcome to whatever I have done. I'm not saying, oh, at my previous job, I was entering data, I was analyzing data. Nope. At my previous role, I actually analyzed data that provided actionable insight that resulted to a 15% growth in this area. So I outlined the outcomes of everything. So that is essentially what they want to see. The same thing is applicable to technical project manager, right? In non-technical industries, project managers are project managers. They literally manage project. I see a lot of people saying, oh, I'm in the data field, I want to pivot into project. I'm in web, I'm a UX UI designer, I want to pivot into project. I am a web dev, I want to pivot into project. Automatically you are a project manager, because you work from start to finish on every project designated to you, right? So anybody in the data science analytics field, you work end to end from start to finish all by yourself, right? And also the major reason, another core reason why I think they reach out to me a lot is because I have been opportune to work in both IC roles and managerial role, right? IC simply means individual contributor. That means you're owning every process, every project all by yourself from start to finish without no support of your fellow data scientists. So they are designating you to a specific product. In my case, my product is YouTube Music and Premium. So I own everything from start to finish, from creating the strategy of how data will be ingested, to how ingesting the data, to actually conducting the analysis, to building the predictive model. I own everything from start to finish. So your supervisor, you're just going to him like, hey, these are the scenarios I've created in terms of the predictive models. I prefer this one. I just want you to review and tell me your take. You're not waiting for them to give you the details of what you need. So it's like you are building a startup on your own in the company. because every individual have the product they work on,
That's
right? So pretty much I've done that. And also just to let you guys know, you can start from the bottom. I started, my first job was in a small company of 10 people. And I think that's how I learned almost everything I know today, because I faced a lot of challenges. I struggled, but I didn't give up, because I always go home, research my way through, figure things out, go back all excited, and I'm ready to do. So I think imposter syndrome is far from me. I'm always that person like, oh, I don't know. When I started my first role as an e-commerce data analyst, trust me, I never had access to Google Analytics. I never had access to Power BI, Tableau, nothing. It was just like, I know once I log into that tool, I will figure things out by hovering, clicking, and all. And I'm always like, I'm a lifelong learner, right? I'm always excited about learning and stuff. So I definitely know. So many of you guys here, you already have a lot of skills to make you stand out. You already have, because a lot of you guys have access to like all these videos now, coaches, mentors, and all. You have access, like you're literally pulling things out. I never touched any of them before I secured my first job. Everything I knew was just theory, me just reading about it. But I was confident that once I log into that tool, I would deliver the job. And of course, that was how I started. And the more you work on those tools, the better you get at them, and the more you become an expert.
All right, yeah. One question will be, so for example, for someone transitioning into like data analysis, so let's say I studied, let's just say HR, and I really like analytics. I just want to learn like, or I'm looking at 3 different roles. I'm not really sure of which one to do. Data analytics is part of them. Are there any resources that can just, get my feet wet, just to understand, basic understanding, for me to then decide if this is something I want to really go for? I know there are mentors, I know there are coaches, but I'm not yet at that point. Yeah, I just want to,
absolutely. I always tell people, like, even before you decide, because of course I do like trainings and all, but I tell them, before you decide, feel free, go online and just explore the free courses and just get the feel of it, right? So most times before I even start like the training itself, because my training is like a 12-week cohort, I ask people, okay, of the total number of people that signed up for the free, let's say, Coursera courses, how many of you actually completed it? And it's always this percent. So it's not about giving. I give out a lot of free things, but at the end of the day, we're all human. If you don't have people you're working with, if you don't have motivation, if you are actually spending hours studying and you get stuck and there's no one to ask questions, those things actually demoralize people, and they just like lay back. It's not like people just want to lay back, but because when they encounter issues while they're learning and there's no one to like break it down for them or help them understand, it's just like, it's not like I've been forced. I'm just going to stop here and move forward. But yes, they have a lot of free stuff. I always recommend you can go through Data Camp, you can go through, but all those things are more like the foundational course and also generic, right? To your points, you have HR background, right? And you want to pivot into analytics. There's no point for you just working on projects that are being shared maybe on YouTube that has to do with, let's say, hospital data, right? Personally, you should be working on things that have to inform things around people analytics, HR analytics, having data sets that actually help you answer questions like, does gender equality exist in this company? Does diversity and this exist in this company? So it's all about getting the right data based on the industry you feel you want to focus on or the domain you want to focus on. So you can always start by learning those free stuff, going online and all. But once you're done, you're like, okay, how do I apply this in my specific area of interest, right? So that's where sometimes you might need a mentor or a coach, because of course they have, like in my training, I literally have data for like all industry, because I've been working in different industry. I've seen a lot of data set. So I personally can even create data based on like the data model itself. I build data models, AR diagrams, and all that stuff. So so it's, you can always learn. I see a lot of people saying they're working on the Coursera, Google Analytics training, free trainings and all. That's absolutely amazing. You can always start from somewhere
Okay.
But the question for you to stand out, because you want to keep in mind, every time you go to Coursera on those programs, right? When you see the total number of people that have actually
Oh,
taking that course, you're like, how
yeah,
do I stand out
yeah,
from
using that.
all these people? Because that means everybody is ready to start applying for data science and analytics role, right? And Google only accepts 0.1% of applications. They get more than, I think, more than 10,000 applications, 10 million applications a year. So the question you want to ring in your head is, how do I stand out from all these applicants? Right? So that's where experience speaks. You speak to people with experience, you find coaches with experience and all. That's why I said some things you don't just learn it through study. You can learn the technical skills through study and all, which is Excel, Power BI, Tableau, blah, blah, blah. However, for you to start understanding how you can talk through project that you've actually done, for you to start understanding how to come up with those business acumen, you actually need people with experience.
Okay, thank you. So there's a question here that says, okay, about her LinkedIn, I think someone has said it's Toby, right? Toby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then someone asked, would you advise someone reading a generic course like computer science, or so, will you advise someone to go for a generic course like computer science or something specific like data science or big data?
Okay. So I love that question. Guess what? I will always recommend you going for computer science. And here's the reason. You are going to pay the same amount for a data analytics or data science program. And if you go for that, or if you go for the computer science program, and like I said, here's the reason. Technology is always changing. I've done different roles in tech, right? I've worked in system administration. I've worked as a web dev, digital marketing. I've worked in tech support, and currently working in data. You want to be able to be versatile, just in case you're like, okay, I think I'm done with this field. I want to go somewhere else, right? I mean, it's just life. Things changes. The only thing that is constant is change. You can just wake up one morning. I can just wake up one morning. I'm like, you know what? I've been pulling out SQL for years. You know what? I just want to be a chief technology officer, right? That's your computer science degree. That's where it comes to play. So there are two things. If you are looking at just acquiring skills, on the job skills, I always recommend Bootcamp. But you always want to think about it this way. Once you get on the job, you become comfortable after like 1 year, and you're like, how do I climb the ladder, right?
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
where your computer science will be very effective, because of course you don't want to tie yourself to just one specific department. You want to be able to like move around and someday become like a chief technology officer or whatever you want to call yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. Someone asked a question. So I've worked as a sales engineer for the past 8 years. What are options for a data analytics student with?
Simple answer is sales analytics. I have a lot of people that have actually transitioned into it, and it's like, in fact, based on the insights, like based on the insight we got from the analysis we've conducted from like our past students, our alumni and all, they have a very short span in terms of their graduation and when they get jobs. It's like fast, because yeah, they always want somebody. Sales is what drives businesses, no matter what business you are working in. Yeah, you're working at the hospital, the customers are the patients. How do they get money? They bill the patients, and that's how they generate sales, right? So sales is something that never goes out of fashion. And personally, myself, I analyze sales data. So once the marketing start converting into sales, that's where the revenue comes in, right? So revenue, return on investment, all that stuff. And I think it's a very interesting domain, because you get the full picture of the company's health and how they are doing, right? I can tell you, like, this is how much we've generated in YouTube Music and Premium. It's like I have the full picture, right? Instead of you like working like under, right? I know the total number of members that are enrolling. So YouTube Music and Premium is just like Spotify, right? Spotify, Pandora. So I have the full picture on all those things. So yeah, you can easily pivot into any of them. And also, if you feel like you want to work or you have interest in working like in the tech industry, you can always be assigned as a sales account manager or specialist to like their specific products. Like you can be a sales account manager for maybe Google Ads. You can be a sales account for Google Cloud, whatever. So that means at that point, you just need to learn the ins and outs of that specific product. You can be a sales account manager or sales operation manager for Salesforce. That means you need to know the ins and outs of Salesforce or whatever Salesforce software you are handling.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. If you have any question, please add it in the question box. Another person said, what should an entry-level data analyst know and what's expected of them?
So what is expected of you guys is to get the job done, right? So there's nothing like entry level when it comes to data analytics, right? There's nobody that will be pushing you or teaching you anything. You're getting in, you have to get the job done, right? They designate whatever. So it's not about skills now. It's not about experience. Now it's about the skills, right? You know how to analyze data. You know how to fetch data using SQL. You have to write the codes to pull it out yourself. You know how to transform the data, manipulate the data. You have to do it yourself. So there's nobody that will stand behind you and say, oh, you got to fetch the data this way and you're going to clean it this way and you're going to start building it. So there's nothing, just take away the word entry level from like the data field or like even product field, right? So you're getting in as a data analyst or a data scientist, and you're expected to deliver whatever you're told. So definitely the core skills, if you want to go into like the data analyst, should be focused primarily on like know the ins and out of Excel, SQL, Power BI or Tableau, right? So some roles might not even require you to use SQL, especially when you're fetching the data. So I have a lot of people that have actually taken my programs in the past and also started working like in the sales operation analyst role, CRM data analyst role. Their primary data source is Salesforce.
Oh, okay.
So you just log into Salesforce, extract the data, and import it into your BI tool. So that's eliminating the SQL part. The only time you use SQL is when the data is extracted from all the third-party applications and ingested into a relational database, a data warehouse, or a data lake.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I switched to user filter premium. Yes. I can get the money out of it. So so just forget about entry level. You can get in today and they can ask you to leave tomorrow if you're not delivering the job. So there's nothing like entry level. It's just the years of experience that actually show.
Yeah. Thanks. I have like 3 or 4 more questions in this question box. Are you okay? All right then. Let me go ahead. The next one says, what domain can you advise to someone who doesn't like to code?
I would say sales, one, because Salesforce will be I would say essentially almost all the companies I've worked for, Salesforce is like their primary CRM tool, right? And also, you can also be in projects. So like at my previous job, all the data science and analytics project I worked on, I reported on Jira. So Jira is the project management tool, right? So you see what I mean when I say project management. You incorporate that and I manage it from start to finish. And I delegate tasks to my direct reports as well, right? So you can actually be an analyst in the product department or the project management department, whereby you'll be analyzing those projects as they come in across all tech roles, like the software engineers, the business analysts, how many projects did they start at the beginning of the week, how many are completed? For those that are not completed, how many of them are still pending? What is causing the delay? So you see what I mean? You work closely with the business analyst. When you analyze the data, you provide them insight, and the business analyst, what they do is improving the business process. They reach out to those people like, hey, I noticed you started this project and the goal is to complete 10 projects this week. How come you're still on project number 2 and it's Thursday? Right? Understanding what is causing like the blocking and helping to see if they can resolve and also, mitigate any risks of missing project deadlines. So you can fit in any of the roles. CRM, a lot of companies, you see them say customer insights and analytics, and all that stuff. It's all about customers. At the end of the day, all companies have customers. So you can fit perfectly into any of them. However, whether they use coding or not depends on the size of the company and also where the data is stored. It's not something you can just guess. Sometimes that's why I recommend pay attention to the job description. If it mentions SQL, then of course you're going to use coding. And I don't even know why you guys are scared of SQL.
I've tried to learn it myself. It doesn't seem that difficult. Yeah, when you get into like C# and all of that, then it gets serious.
We don't use that. So that's another thing, especially when it comes to coding, right? For someone like me, I can still use, let's say I'm working on a project and I'm building like models, machine learning models with Python, right? So yeah, you can use Python for data science. You can use Python for web applications, for website. So you have to be sure of what you are researching, right? For example, if you want to use Python for data science, you want to be able to search for resources or videos or whatever by calling out that core areas, because Python is a general purpose programming language. It can be used for everything. If you just go online and say Python training, it's like you're just reading everything in out, right? You're not focusing on your core specialization area, which is data science, right? So you're just going round and round. The packages we use for data science is completely different from the Python packages the web dev uses, different from the packages that the software engineers uses, and we all use Python.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I think someone asked, is getting a health informatics degree sufficient in applying for Google Analytics positions?
What do you mean Google Analytics? Google Analytics is a tool itself. Do you mean analytics position at Google?
Probably, yeah. Getting
it depends. If that's exactly what I meant by, if you are trying to work in other industries, just make sure you're sure of the program you're going for. So everybody, once they hear health informatics, they expect you to be in the healthcare industry. Do you get? So you want to make sure you are enrolling for things that you can transfer easily without anybody putting like an assumption to your degree. Someone like me, I just look at it like, you're healthcare informatics. Well, what are you trying to do in like the healthcare? Because the goal for you going to healthcare informatics is to learn like those technical things to help them improve the tech infrastructure and systems in the healthcare industry. Hence the word healthcare informatics. Right? So you don't want to just enroll for things you don't understand just because you see people like enrolling for it. That's the goal of health informatics. You want to be the brain box behind improving all the healthcare systems and like technologies in healthcare. So why then what are you looking for at Google? Right? Because these are tech industry. But however, even if you want to work in the tech industry, once they have like any healthcare product, yes, you can apply. I think Amazon has something like Amazon Health. I think Google has Google Health, something like that. So you want to make sure you're searching for that specific product that's tailored to your background. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Or you have more competitive edge and more chances in healthcare industry.
Yeah. All right. So another question is how to transition from being a Scrum Master to Program Manager. Is there any certification you need to get?
So technically at Google, when I search Scrum Master, nothing pops up.
Yeah, I think
however, they map it into the technical program manager role, right? So I don't think you need anything extra, but you just want to tailor your resume before applying to align with what they're requiring for, right? Just make sure you have agile. Your environment is agile, then SAFe, SAFE. Yeah. Then I think they have one more. Those are like the 3 cores. So even if you have one of them, you're fine. You have 2, you're fine. And also in terms of the project you've worked on in the past, try to call out projects. I know some people have worked in non-technical industry, which is fine. But there's some projects you don't want to like list out that doesn't have any impact in that, right? So you want to make sure you call out those projects that actually aligns with the role you're trying to, apply for with the outcome of the project. Those are very important. The outcome of the project is very important. So you always want to make sure you outline it properly.
Yeah. So after a Google Data Analytics certification, what do you think should be the next step for someone just starting out?
So it doesn't have to be a Google Data Analytics certification. In general, once you finish any data analytics certification, whether it's from Udemy, so I think most people are actually just going through the Google Analytics certification because they hear the name Google. That's the mistake a lot of people are making. It's like finishing the Google Analytics certification program is not going to give you any upper edge to get into Google, right? That's why I say go back to that program and see the total number of people that have done it. That's huge, right? They only want one person for one role. So imagine out of 200K, let's just use 200K, they only need one person, right? So just because the project, I don't have any Google Analytics certification myself. Nope, I don't have it. So that's just to let you guys know they don't really care about all those stuffs. Some of you finished that program and you cannot even write out the project you worked on from start to finish. So that's where the selling point is. Sitting down and saying, hey, I worked on this project end to end from start to finish, and you finished the program. So I asked a lot of people, can you talk about the project you worked on during the Googles? They can't even put it together. And I think that's where the problem is. Being able to it's like you're just copying whatever the instructor says and all, but at the end, you want to sit down and think about it this way. Oh, the Excel project I worked on, what exactly does it entail? What is the goal? What's the things I actually did? What type of analysis did I apply? Right? So
like being able to it, right? Like put it together.
Right, exactly.
What did you achieve? Yeah.
Right. So every time you finish any program, all you just did was to learn that program. The second phase is mastering it. So the question you want to ask yourself, can I execute that project from start to finish without referencing the video?
Oh, wow.
Right? So once you do that, the third step is writing a report. A lot of you guys don't even know how to write analysis reports. Building a dashboard is just once for a lifetime. You can build one dashboard and it's going to be there for the company, right? However, you're spending majority of your time writing reports, analysis reports. A lot of you guys don't even know what you need to include in like the analysis reports, right? How you starting with the background, the methodology. Some of you, you've done this project, you can't even talk through the methodology. So it's now time, it's not because you wrapped up a course doesn't mean you gain the skill sets. Because I know like during the chats with people that actually book me for like interview prep, they can't even say anything. Give yourself some time. You can just say, okay, the next 1 month, I want to master the skill sets, right? And what you need to do is, okay, I think I want to redo this project without watching the videos and see what I can accomplish first. Then the second part is, based on all this project I have actually accomplished, I want to write them out in the STAR method, starting with the situation. So the situation is the goal. The task that you were assigned is what they actually ask you to do. For example, they are asked to conduct a time series analysis to help provide insights on the trend of sales. That's the goal. Then your action is your methodology. I started by extracting data from the data warehouse using SQL code. I fetched the data, I created a relationship between my tables, blah, blah, blah. Afterwards, I conducted exploratory data analysis by standardizing this, calling out that. You write action steps. Sometimes your action steps are more than 5, 10, whatever, depending on how your project is. Then the final part is always the results, right? The STAR, the result are the outcomes. Based on this analysis or based on this project, I was able to solve or eliminate data silo issue by building a robust analytics dashboard that actually aggregated data from disparate sources, right? So you want to master the skills, help yourself to help somebody, right?
Yeah. What can you talk about your training program, like how you help like newbies get the skills they need and getting jobs eventually?
Yeah, I'll talk about it, but just FYI, the program is filled for the year, right? So I've
So that,
Fast. Yeah, and next year I'm currently working on something. So hopefully before maybe fall, you guys will start getting. I mean, you can sign up for the newsletter so that way you'll be among the first people like when the course drops, because we're
oh
working
wow.
on like the course itself. So that way everyone will have access. It's still gonna be a cohort base, but now it's gonna be like, I mean, something like in our own platform where you have the step-by-step guide and it's like a recorded session. So, but the program is a 12 weeks program, and we take you from 0 to 100, targeted to people with no technical experience, no technical background. And I'm not blabbing, go online with the testimonials yourself afterwards. However, it's a 12-week program where we teach you how to analyze data from using all the technical tools, Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, Python, to understanding the different business acumen and business domains. So we help you select the domain that actually matches your background or based on your vision in terms of where you want to get to. Then also teaching you how to present your analysis. So that's where the reporting comes in, how to create insight, how to create recommendation. I think that's where a lot of the trainings are lacking, right? A lot of the trainings they just focus more on the tools. However, for you to stand out in any data science and analytics role, you need a combination of three skill sets equally, right? The technical skills, the soft skills, which is your business acumen, then your presentation skill, right? You will always present, like you will always present. I mean, I just literally posted, I was super happy before this stuff because I just got my first peer bonus, right? Peer
Oh,
bonus at Google is an award they give to you when you perform exceedingly. I'm less than 1 year,
wow.
and I got it from my director, not even my co-workers,
Oh,
my director. So I was like super happy. It comes with a certificate and also money.
oh wow.
So you can actually drive a lot of things when you're focused. Don't let the money actually drive you.
Mm.
Go with the experience. If you get the experience, you can be making less year one, year two, year three, but from year three, and you have a designated domain, you
Yeah.
will go this way, right? So that's exactly what we focus on in the training, and we're going to take you from all type of analysis. At the end of the training, a lot of our students can talk week over week. They get their feedback on every assignment. It's intense. We're teaching you what you're going to be doing on the job. And another thing that makes us stand out based on my experience with working across different industry, we don't use one specific data. So you're going to see me use data from like the CRM, sales, healthcare, HR, and I will teach you how to create metrics, how to calculate those metrics, how to leverage the different tools to analyze the data to the reporting stage. I think I have a lot of students here. They're just giving me kudos. Yeah, they are currently in the current cohort and they are doing amazing. Well, like
Yeah.
week 5, and they're all like, yes, I'm getting there. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the thing. Then at the end, I help all students revamp their resume. So it's personalized. I do it myself. I don't assign it to my VA because everybody's previous background is different. And also at the end of the final capstone, they have options to pick the case study they want to work on based on the domain they want to work on. So I help them revamp and I prep all my students for interviews till they secure jobs. So it's kind of like, and we have like a forum whereby they can ask questions, I mean, interact with each other and all. So it's not just for short term. It's like, hey, we have a lot of data science and analytics role. If you're interested in learning, we got you. Like we can all help each other. I'm here to help people. Like we can all help each other fill up these jobs. And I prefer to help like people of color, myself and yourself. Like we have a lot. And I think one thing about me is I always start, I believe charity start from home.
Yeah.
Right. So literally all my friends, they all pivoted into the field. And these are people with like business, MBA, people with accounting background and all, because they saw how fast I was like elevating
Yeah.
and they were interested. I took them from ground to like the till they got the job, and I'm like, okay, I'm
Really
out.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm out. Do you get? So it's more about the impact for me because I know. I'm like, why you just making 50K when you can make 120K? Like, come on. Do you
Yeah.
get? So that's who I am. I'm always sharing information, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I have a lot of things going on. So sometimes it looks like I don't even check my DMs. I do a lot of things at the same time, right? So, but I'm that person that if you're interested in learning, you're going to be my best friend because I don't play. So at the end of the program, because we have project from week 2 to the final,
Okay.
you will have a solid portfolio of more than 10 projects you can talk through.
Wow.
Right? Because from the project, you can ask my students, you are going to understand the goal of the project because I will outline it. You're going to write your methodologies yourself from the week 2 till the end. So at the end, you're already familiar with the process. They can easily talk through, like even if they have interview the next day, they can even like share. And another thing is I try to optimize things in real time. Oh, I can teach this thing next because it's a live session. It's not like it's on autoplay. I give a lot of scenarios. I teach the program like they join live like this.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I share a lot of projects I'm currently working on, I've worked on in the past. I give a lot of scenarios of how they can apply that in different industries, not just one specific industry. So
that's really good. I really like your energy. And your students are here. Someone has said Toby for president. Yeah, someone has asked this question over and over. This will be the last question because time is gone.
okay.
What domain has the most job opportunities?
Where the money reside, where the money reside. Marketing and sales, where the money reside. Okay. So marketing and sales, right? And another, I think a lot of you guys are missing on this part. There's something we call web analytics, right? You can be a web analyst. You can be analyzing data, and web analyst role, your core data source would be Google Analytics, right? So Google Analytics is a tool we use in analyzing website data. But when I say web analytics, don't expect to go there and just have one data set, right? Or one data source, right? I have worked, when I was working at Molina Healthcare, it's a Fortune 500 healthcare company. I was, especially when you're working, you can be a web analyst. And also, if you're working as a web marketing analyst or marketing analytics role, you will be owning the web analyst side because they work hand in hand, right? So the web analyst, all you do is analyze website data and you get insight on the acquisition, the audience, demographic and behavioral factors, things like where are the website visitors coming from? Where are they coming from in terms of location? What is their age, their gender, and all that? Nothing on personal identification information, just FYI. And sometimes you join companies, they have more than 200 websites, all embedded in themselves. So it's not just one specific website. They have a lot of microsites. Especially every time they're executing marketing campaigns, they always create new microsites. For example, they have their standard public website that is being accessed by everyone, and they have a company or a branch in, let's say, New York. They're going to have a separate website for New York based on the URL. So at the end, you're analyzing multiple website data, right? So you're analyzing that. And I remember, I think in 2015, I actually had a role there, but I didn't take it because I got something else. And as of 2015, the first web analyst role I got offered, I think, $90,000. Wow. Right? So that's huge. And also, I remembered interviewing at Fox, whereby they're like, hey, Toby, we want you to log into this tool and fetch the data for like the video that has the highest view. Right? So all those things we're doing on the website when you go shopping or like reading blogs and all, going to entertainments like blogs and website, they are all being tracked and monitored. And that's the type of data you analyze.
Okay. So my own question to you is, I really like your energy, and how do you stay positive? I mean, your journey is really inspiring because I've also been there myself, being a student, working. I know it can be draining emotionally, financially, trying, and I know your mom as well, being a parent, how to manage all these things. I know things might look very flashy and nice on Instagram, but obviously there are challenges in between. Like, how do you stay on top of these things? How do you stay positive? Yeah.
I would say first thing for me is having a supportive partner, right? My partner is super supportive. So it's like both of us have the same degree, bachelor's in computer science, master's in computer science. So we're both in the same part,
But
right? It's more like on the product management side. I'm on the data analytics side. So we're both like in the same part. So I think that's the beginning of the whole thing, because I've had like a couple of people, most times when they're like maybe down and all that, it's always like maybe the partner is not understanding where they're going through and all that stuff. So I think that's like the beginning part. So it makes it look super easy for me.
yeah.
And secondly is time management. I don't joke with my time, right? The time I'm using now is my lunchtime, right? And Fridays after 12, it's like go home day for us at Google, right? I don't joke with my time. I delegate 9 to 5 for my 9 to 5. Then afterwards, I start my side businesses, whatever, mentorship with my students and all that. Every free time you see on my calendar has been booked by somebody, because for my training, I take a maximum of 20 people. And this current cohort, I think they're 20 or 21. So I meet with them. Aside the weekend training, they all have one-to-one mentorship with me.
Oh, wow.
30 minutes, everybody. So you can talk about whatever you feel like. Hey, Toby, can you go back to this? Oh, I need clarity on this, blah, blah, blah. So they have that free mentorship with me for 12 weeks. So I use my time very efficiently. My phone is on Do Not Disturb. And sometimes you guys think I'm online. I have VAs that work for me. So I already have like reviewed all the posts and all, and they literally like do the posting for me and all that stuff. So I have people doing that just because you see a post come up and you're like sending me messages and all. It might not be me, girl. I'm busy. And secondly, I go in like hybrid, because it's hybrid. I try to go in twice a week. So once I go in, I come back home like, let's say 7, make dinner, and boom, I'm off. My daughter automatically possesses my phone from when she comes back to the next morning. So I'm completely out of my phone. The only thing you're going to see me with is my laptop. So trying to learn things. So I never stop learning. I try to learn something new every week, right? So that's how I stay positive and investing my time in productive things. I've invested my time before, like past experience on things that are not productive, people that are not productive. But at the end of the day, the outcome was vague. So the moment I started channeling my energy on myself and things that can help me go, I think I was just like going like this. And I can literally say no to anybody. Like, no, I don't have 10 minutes to give you, 5 minutes to give you. You have to set the standard for yourself first, right? Because at the end of the day, it starts with you. Oh, do you have 10 minutes of your time? No, I don't have it because I want to use it for myself, right? I used to do that in the past, but not anymore. I don't do it again. And I think that's the best decision I ever made, because every time, every 30 minutes I spend with myself, I learn something new and I apply it at everything I do, and I get the reward for it. So
thank you so much. Thank you. Thank everyone that joined. Yeah, thank you. I'm really, really grateful, and I appreciate your presence. I hope we can connect more, because I mean, your energy is just, I mean, really, really inspiring. And
it's contagious.
What did you say?
I said it's contagious.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Happy Friday. Make sure you close your freaking laptop and party. It's a weekend. So that's one thing about me. I know how to do my work-life balance. Friday, I
see your post. I see your post. I know.
All right. Nice to meet you guys. Hopefully we connect in the future. And bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.